Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Chadoodling, glad to see you guys are back for part 2 of Footwear Sketch to Vector. In this video, I'll be tackling the line work. So I'll be discussing my line art process while showing you how I use the pen tool and the other commands I discussed from part 1. So let's get started. Okay, first things off, this is what I usually do. I usually lock, the other layers so I don't get confused and the layers don't overlap each other. First thing we're gonna use is the pen tool. We're gonna draw the tooling first, which is this section. It's basically the outsole. So basically, you just click the point you want and then click to the next point you want to connect to. Now, if you click and drag, you'll see there's two knobs that'll come out, and that's for curves. That helps you draw curvatures. So I'll just continue doing this till I get the desired shape. Now, if you don't get the shape you want at first, that's totally fine. You can always come back to it. It's not going to be a problem. So you can just take any direction you like. Well, not any direction. Basically, try to follow the drawing or scan, and then we'll just edit it afterwards because it doesn't have to come out perfect immediately in the first try. So usually I add additional points, additional vertices, just to get the right shape when I finish. Okay, so this might take a bit longer. This seems nice. Maybe I'll add a bit more curvature here. Then lower this a bit. Then I'll add another vertex here. Yeah, okay. So also another thing is when you draw your sneaker or anything for that matter, you have to know what layers are on top, what layers are on the bottom. So by knowing this, it'll be easier to identify which parts you will want to make a path together. Because for example, if I started drawing all the way to here, and then in the end I wanted it separated, it'll be a lot harder. So it's additional work. So it's good to know which parts are not connected. Like you have to understand on your level which parts you want connected from the start. So you should always identify that before starting. If you notice, I actually made an overlap here. Now this is totally fine since I already know that this section will be under this path. So in the long run, it will be hidden. So that's not going to be a problem. So that's one of the reasons why you have to understand your own drawing in a way that you know which one is on top, which part is on top of one another. It'll help you out in the long run. Okay, I think that should do for the bottom part. Now I'm going to make this the middle portion. This is basically where the midsole really lies. Usually it's the phylon part. Actually, I'll take out the snap. If you're noticing the green lines, those are from the snap. I don't really need them at this point. The snap is mostly used when you want something very aligned. This one, since the shape is very organic, you don't really need it. Okay. Might add another one here, and then. So for these rounded corners, this usually, from my experience, I feel like adding 2 points that are close to each other usually helps with a cornered effect, rather than just 1 point. It makes makes it look better. How do I guess it gives you more control. That's the best way I can describe it. Rather than just 1 point. Okay, so next part is this part. So this is a TPU heel counter. So yeah, okay. So the thing about me is before I actually draw, I typically know what material I'm gonna be using. So that helps when you render. Since we're not still in the render process yet, you won't be able to see it yet, but it does help actually because sometimes knowing the material also knows how how you separate the shading, how you add layer effects, helps you in the overall render. Okay, last thing we need is we need to get the shape on the inside. Now, this is actually a hole to the heel counter. So if you're noticing, I'm not click and dragging some of these because, like I said, you can adjust it afterwards, like that. So I feel like sometimes adjusting it afterwards makes the editing easier. There we go. So the next thing we're gonna do is once we've fully realized the shape. Wait. I think I kind of want to add a curvature here, like a cleaner curve, like. Okay. Yeah. Maybe here also. Now you can actually add a round corner effect. There's a round corner effect here on Stylize, but not for this one because I prefer different. The thing about that effect though is when you use it, each corner will have the same radius, and I don't really want that. I want different radiuses. So I prefer doing them manually for these organic shapes. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is make sure that this one is on top. So to make sure, what you do is Control Shift and then there's the special parenthesis looking thing. I don't know what this is called, but it's a parenthesis type. So it's the one I know. It's the one beside the P's. So the left one, that's when you press Control Shift special parenthesis, the one directly beside the P, that puts it behind. That's like send back, as in sent to the lowest part of the layer. Now what you want to do is you want the right parenthesis, the ending parenthesis. So Control Shift and that, the right parenthesis. So when you use that, it sends to front. So just to make sure, because it has to be the one in front because we're going to be subtracting it. So we're going to Pathfinder and then you're gonna select this one, minus front. So you're gonna select this one and also this one to minus front. Okay. So now that we understand that, let's add colors to it. Let's add colors to it to see if we're happy with the shape. Okay, so this is supposed to be on top. Move that up. Okay, so more or less, yeah, but I'll just edit a couple things. Maybe a bit sharper here. So I'm not perfectly aligning it with the drawing. So some adjustments can be made when you're vectoring, like doesn't have to be perfectly aligned, but the drawing is a guide. That's basically what you're trying to trace. Okay, so yeah, sort of looks good. Now, I'm gonna add a separation on this part, just like in the drawing. So what I'm gonna do next is make a shape. There. We're going to use the Pathfinder again. So make a copy of this one. So that's Control C. And then, okay, here's a trick. Most people just copy and paste, right? Control C and then Control V. The thing about Control V is you have to align it. So what I usually do is Control C and then I press Control F. So Control F means copy to front. So I'll move the object just so you can see. Now after I press Control F, there was a copy directly on top of the object that we copied. So I personally use Control F now. I barely use Control V. Unless I'm transferring to a different location or like maybe two different canvases, but usually I just use Control F. Okay, so there we go. And then we're going to use this one, the intersect. So for intersect, when you select two paths, the path that will remain after the pathfinder will be this section that intersects on both paths. So for us, it'll be this area here. Okay, there we go. So now we have a drawing of the outsole or tooling. All right. So next, since we're pretty happy about that, we can move to the upper, lock the tooling layer, and we'll start drawing the upper. So same process here. We're just gonna continue drawing with the pen tool. So if you notice, this part is actually kind of repetitive. So, um, is it boring? I don't know. For me, I find it enjoyable, but maybe for some others. Now, like I said, this project is basically for people who don't have pen tablets or haven't learned to use pen tablets. So, I'll admit if you have tablets or you're able to sketch digitally and render digitally, it'll take a shorter time for sure. And the lines will also be more organic. That's the difference. Like you can actually feel the shading, like the line strokes. The effect of drawing digitally is different, but this is for the people who can't or don't have those resources. So at least we can have something that can match nearly, not as good, but I would say good enough. Like I don't think this type of presentation lacks in any sort of aesthetic value or presentation value. Like I'm pretty sure if you present this, people will be happy. Okay. So now I'm just tracing it, so adjusting it to make it as close as possible. There we go. Okay. And then I'm just like I said before, so it's okay to overlap as long as you understand which one is on top and which one is on bottom. So I know this part will be on top of this part, so I don't. So it's okay that I make an overlap for here. But for this one, I have to make sure that the path I am drawing has to be exact because it's not going to be overlapping anything. Well, on top anyway. I can overlap on on the bottom part since the outsole will be covering that part. The midsole and the outsole won't show the hidden parts of the lower area. Yeah, like this. Yeah. So some of these parts I might fast forward since you don't really have to see or it might seem repetitive, you know? Cuz it is, to be honest, it is like if you're the one doing it, yeah, it's not boring, but when you're watching this you might get bored and I want you guys to learn, not get bored. So there, I finished two panels now. I'm gonna do all the others. It's basically the same process. Now, um, hmm, if there's a tip I can give you guys, I would say that oh, here's a good tip. So sometimes I press Alt. So when I press Alt using the pen tool and then select, it goes back to the non-curvature. So you can adjust the level of the curvature again from the start. And if you want to only move one side of the knobs, you just press Alt and then select the knob part that you want to move. So that makes it easier also. Sometimes this is dependent. Sometimes you want a harsh curve. This will work. So you want a curvature on one side and you want a straight line on the other. This helps. But you have to know when to use it and when not to use it. Okay. So I'll probably just fast forward this part since it'll be repetitive. Okay, and we're back. Okay, so the parts I fast forwarded were just the same. Basically, I just drew it using the pen tool. So now I'll just color these black and white for now. Just so we have an idea. Okay, see, this is why you need to color it. So sometimes you have parts you miss. All right, so you have a better idea of um what you drew on top of what, and see if you're happy with the drawings. I'm actually pretty happy. Yeah, this looks pretty nice. Got the overall shape more or less. Okay. So there's a reason why I maintained this as a stroke. So I wanted to show you guys how I usually do this part. So this is actually a lace loop. So I can show you guys what I meant about the expand command. So after you make a stroke like this, go to Object, Expand. So that's the one I gave a shortcut Control Alt E, but I'm showing you where it is located in case you haven't adjusted your keyboard shortcuts yet. Okay, so just let no need to do anything here. Just click OK, and now it's a path. Yay! So we can color it, and it has a stroke also. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna make this a pathfinder, and then unite. Okay. So there, now it's one piece. Because my idea here is this is all one piece of material. So it's an overlay of a leather piece. Then wait, what? Okay, so I'll delete this point. So if you want to delete a point using the pen tool, by the way, just um, hover over the existing point or vertex, and then a minus sign will appear. So you wait for that and then just select it. Once you select it, it gets deleted like that. Okay. So next thing we're gonna do is we are we are gonna fix these curves. So I left these curves not fully curved just to show you guys the different ways I do it. So for this one, we're gonna add an extra point because when it's a sharp corner, it's a sharp round corner. Usually, I like using 2 points. Now for this one, it's not doesn't have to be super sharp. So I'm probably gonna maintain 1 point here. So it's gonna end up kind of a bit more rounded, but that's the way I'll probably want it to look. Yeah, like that. And then this one I will probably add another one because I want it to look more like this part. So rotate here, rotate there. Now, don't worry if you don't get it immediately. If this is your first time trying it, um, it it takes a while. The pen tool is not since it's very different from the normal drawing skills. Like it's very different from drawing, right? So you have to look at it in a different perspective if you want to be good at it. Like this is more like tracing point by point, not like drawing from your mind. It's actually pretty hard to describe, right? Because vectoring is how. What's probably the closest? What's the closest act to vectoring? I've never thought of it that way. Actually, if you guys can tell me what you guys think is like the closest thing, what's the real world? What's a real world counterpart to vectoring? Um, show me down on the comments below if you have any ideas, because I am not thinking of anything at the moment. All right, so yeah, it kind of looks good to me. So yeah, I'm not following the shape directly for this panel, so don't worry about that. I did that on purpose. Okay, so mm, okay. Overall silhouette looks nice, right? Next thing we're gonna do is we're going to add the eyelets here on these parts. So what we want is okay. So we'll take the fill out for a moment just so we can trace it out. Okay. So here's my plan. Ideally, the sneaker design that I did, it has 2 eyelets here and then 3 eyelets here, which are shaped triangularly. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a polygon tool, and using the down arrow, I am going to make it a triangle. Now that it's triangle, I don't want to make it a sharp triangle. I'm going to add the stylized round corners, and then find a suitable shape that I like. I think that's about it. And then we're going to expand appearance, which is Control Alt P. Also no shortcut, but I have I used my own keyboard shortcuts for that. So yeah, I think that looks kind of nice. Now we just have to put them in the right places. Oops, didn't select it. Okay. And there we go. Maybe a bit smaller. I think I'd like to make it a bit smaller. Yeah, roughly something like that. Move this a bit. Move this a bit to the right. Okay. Yeah, that looks good to me. And then next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a copy of this. Control C. This time I'm using Control V because I'm moving it to a totally different area. And like that. And then I am going to change the direction of the triangle. That's just, that's just my preference because this is my drawing. No, I just felt like it would look better. Okay, there you go. Okay, so now we have the eyelets also. So what we have left is this part. So this part is actually a leather overlay. Um, in real life, it would be connected to the tongue, and this part would be connected to this flap on the inside, on the inner part. So what I want it to be is like it's a lockdown mechanism, kind of. So basically, this helps with the lockdown. That's the idea of it, anyway. Okay, and then this part will be like TPU molded plastic, not the hard one, the soft plastic one. So this is going to be another lace loop. Okay, so this is going to be relatively simple. Just make rectangles. Just find the appropriate height. Okay, and then I'm gonna adjust this to where I need it to what I interpret as okay. So to make it look good, you have to actually make it seem like you're following this plastic is following the shape of the panel that it's overlaying. So you have to follow it in the same direction so it looks good. Okay, and then make another rectangle. This one for the overlay. Yeah. So this is where the loop is. So this is how I'll represent the loop. Okay, so the loop will be a bit thicker, just a wee bit thicker than the plastic overlay. It's actually just the same. It's part of the plastic overlay, but I'm just making it thicker so it represents the overlay a bit better. Okay, I'm just gonna add a fill so it's easier to move. Yeah, this is a lot harder to move with just outlines. Now, okay, I think we've reached the limit of how small the detailing could go. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do instead. I'm just gonna expand this, and then I am going to make another copy of this. So Control C, Control F, and then I will just make an intersect. Okay, so that's what we ended up doing. Okay, so now all the eyelets are completed. Okay, so I'll just fill all of them up again as white. And then there we go. So we have a clear idea of the shape. So the next thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna add the laces. Now the laces are relatively easy. Just need this rounded rectangular tool. And then find the thickness you want. I kind of like my laces a bit thicker than normal, but no pun intended. Okay, and then you just slap it over there. Okay, so you can, what I usually do is I like to go into isolation mode. So isolation mode, you just double click. Now, that that means the only thing you can edit is this. Everything else that's faded in the background, you won't be able to touch. How do you get back out? You just double click anywhere else and you're out. Okay, so now I'm gonna use the sub select tool, which is A, keyboard shortcut A, and then select these parts and just move them. And then align them here to where the lace loop is, and then there you have it. Now we can edit this part also. Oops. So make this part a bit lower, just so it's like it's getting squeezed into the hole. Okay, so there you have it. That's the first lace, and then you can just copy this for this one, and then you make another copy, and then just rotate. Oops, selected the wrong one, and then you have, and then okay, here's another trick. You cut this, which is Control X, and then what you do is you select the layer you want to be on top of. So for example, I want it to be on top of this one. After I select this, you press Control F, it'll be on top of that part, right? So that's where you want it to be. But what I actually need it to be is to be lower than this panel. So I'm gonna select both and then select the tongue area, and then boom, it's down there. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna adjust these ones to make it look like they're overlapping. Probably delete a point, and then there we go. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much more or less how I want it to look. And then you know what? I actually realized there's a problem with this design. So this section is way too far from this one, and it's way too close to this one. So I'm thinking I'll move this design a bit lower. Yeah, so it's closer to this area than it is to this area. Okay, so we'll just move it a bit more. There we go. And then I will move this down. Okay. We'll move all of it. There we go. Okay. Then, so this is basically just copy pasting and then moving the parts to where it fits all the eyelets. So I'll probably fast forward this part. So just wait a second. Okay, so I just finished lacing, and there it actually looks, the shoe looks really nice in my opinion. Like it's taking the shape really well. Pretty much the whole silhouette is pretty much done by this point. Now the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add the stitches. So this is where offset comes into play. So how to find offset is like object path, and then this one offset path. So for me, I just use Control Alt F or Alt Control F. So I already made a keyboard shortcut for it. So the next thing we're gonna do is offset by 2, and then preview, -2 actually, sorry. So when you offset with a positive number or a regular number, it makes a copy to the outside, added by like 2 points, or how many points you like. So let me show you. So it makes symmetrical. I think that, or the same ratio. I would say that's probably how I would best describe it. And then same when you go negative, it does the same thing except going inside. So I think -3 would look better. So after that, we go to stroke and then dashed line. So what I usually like to do is go 5 and 2. I think that's the best looking stitch when it comes to this size, which is 1000 by 1000 canvas size. And then we're gonna do the same thing here, -3, and then just copy this. So 5 2, and then same here. F 3. Now, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna delete this part, so this area, and just select it using the sub-select tool. So you select the stroke and just press delete on your keyboard, and it's gone. And then just move this, and also this. And then just copy the stroke. Okay. And now, for this part, I kind of want to do something different. I think I'll use the brush we used from the first video, which is this one. So what I'll do is I'll select the vertices of this, and this. So okay, so here's the difference. Now you can do this 2 ways. You can select at either the strokes or the vertices. Now the thing you have to think about when you're copying, selecting vertices or strokes is that when you select a vertex, always remember that when you select one vertex, you're dragging along 2 lines beside it. Like, okay, let me make a copy of this one. Control C, Control V. So you'll see that it's copying both those parts, even if I only selected this middle one. So usually, if I want to select up to here, I'm not gonna select this one anymore. I'm just gonna select this, this, and this. So it ends here. Make Control C, Control F. Okay, so I made a copy on top of it. So I'll move it just to show you, and then move it back. And you just select Pattern Brush 2. Now obviously it's too big. Also take out the fill, and then go to stroke. Try 0.25. Oh, still too big. Just make it smaller. 0.15. Still too big. Maybe 0.05. Okay, maybe too small. 0.1. Yeah, okay, that looks nice. So, just about right. Actually, no, it looks a bit bigger. 0.07. Yeah, that's the size. All right, that's how I like it. And then this one, we're gonna make another stroke. So just do the same thing, offset, and then copy. So, and then obviously, since the stitch won't actually go all the way down here, you just have to delete. Oops, sorry, selected the wrong path. Just delete this area. Delete the points leading up to it, and then move it all the way to the edge to represent the stitch. Okay, and then you can also delete these ones since they won't be seen anyway. And then just take out the fill. Okay, and there you have it. Oh yeah. What the other thing I usually do is I make a copy of this. I just move it, and then send it back. So this is to represent the lining, since shoes always have lining on the inside. So just make a copy of this, both for the collar and the tongue. And then the tongue, just make a copy again, then send it back. There we go. So we have something to represent the lining on both the collar and the tongue. So for outline, that's basically it actually. For most, okay, we can do this one also. Forgot this one. And then, yeah, that's mostly it actually. Not much to edit, not much more to edit. Okay, so the last thing I would do here would be to change the strokes. I'd probably change it to 0.25 by this point, so it looks better. Oh, except for this one. I have to keep it small, forgot. Okay, so it does look better to me. Like, it represents the stick, especially when it's rendering. Now, you'll see that there's an overlap here because I just made a copy of this one. So how do we make this smaller? Just make a random path here, just the section you need, and then just select this and also select this whole tongue area. This is the one that represents the lining, and no need to make a copy because we're just gonna intersect it. So now all we have is a small path and then just send it to the back. Okay, and there you have it. That's the upper. Now let's do the same thing for the tooling. Make the stroke smaller. Okay, and now you have very distinctly vectored footwear. So it's very clean and you can already see the lines. You already know the design. So, I mean, very well represented by this point. Okay, so I think that's it for the line work. If you have any more questions, just leave them down in the comments below. And I hope you like what you saw. A thumbs up would be nice, and if you want more, subscribe would really help. So see you guys on the next one. Bye.